So as everybody knows, the market is starting to shift, but you have a house that you have to sell. So what are you going to do to make that happen? Let's get into it. How you doing? I'm Derek from M1 Realty. I'm the broker owner, founder of the company. Started here in 2014, and now we are the #1 real estate firm in the city of Ferndale, Michigan. And I've got an all-star team of agents who are ready to help you buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you're looking to do, we got you covered. Now, before we get into it, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, share this video out to anybody that you think would benefit from it. That simply keeps me in front of people just like you who want to know more about the Metro Detroit real estate market. So no doubt you've seen the headlines, read the articles, seen the turmoil in the real estate market, and so the market is shifting definitely. And what does that look like as a home seller? The good news is most of the doom and gloom headlines that you've been hearing about the real estate market collapsing and problems and all this, that, the other thing don't really pertain to us here in Metro Detroit. Just based on current numbers, we're still definitely in a seller's market, and I'll give you a couple metrics that I use to track that. First and foremost is the average days on market for homes that do sell. The average across all of Metro Detroit, across the entire MLS, which includes, Washtenaw, Livingston, St. Clair, and the Tri-County area as well, is like 12 days on market. So if the average of over several thousand homes that are selling per month is 12 days, that means that a lot of those houses are selling in faster than 12 days, which means that it's definitely still a seller's market. A lot of those properties are still getting multiple offers and selling for over asking price. And my kind of rule of thumb, the metric that I look at as far as days on market, is when the average gets to about 30 days on market, that's when it starts to shift into a buyer's market. Now we're not there, we're a long way from that at this point. The other metric that I look at is the amount of inventory that is on the market of homes that haven't sold yet that are actively for sale. And right now we've got about a 2-month supply of inventory across the board in Metro Detroit. Now what that means is if no homes hit the market from today forward, it would take about 2 months to sell off the current inventory that we actually still have. Now that metric's super easy to track as well, and my rule of thumb for that is when we have 6 months worth of inventory, that's when it really starts to shift into a buyer's market. So like the more inventory that's on the market means that there's more homes to choose from for each buyer. It's not necessarily a case of, there's more buyers out there looking than there are homes to put them in, which is pretty much what we're experiencing right now. That leads to a more balanced market. That allows buyers to kind of be in the driver's seat and negotiate prices down instead of up, which is what we're still pretty much seeing now. Now, I don't want to mislead you and let you think that we're still in a similar market to where we were like a year ago or even 6 months ago, because we're not. It's definitely shifting a little bit, but it's not anything drastic. A year ago, all you had to do was put a sign in the yard, and that's really it. Put it on Zillow or whatever, and you'd have a line of cars down the street, buyers with cash in hand, ready to just give you over and above asking price, pull out all the stops, do whatever they could to get that house under contract. That's why, every house was seeing multiple offers, and we're not talking like 1 or 2. Most of the listings that I was putting on the market would get 8, 10, 12, 15 offers. And at that point, it just makes sense. The house is going to sell for way above asking and get the most favorable terms possible for that seller. And while it is still a seller's market, like I said, it's not anywhere near that extent anymore. And honestly, that was unsustainable, and I'm kind of glad that's passed. It was a great time to sell a house, but then those sellers had to go buy something, and that's when it got a little tricky. Luckily, I haven't lost a patient yet, as I like to say. And everybody that I had that was in that situation, I was able to get them into a home that they love. But it's really stressful for everybody involved when, your house is sold and you have, 60 to 90 days to find a house, get an offer accepted, do the inspection, do the appraisal, and then close on it and move in on an accelerated timeline. That, like I said, that's a little fun, a little stressful. So if you do have a house to sell in this market, let's talk about the things that you do need to do in order to make that happen. Condition of the house is very important now in this market. A year ago, people were cutting corners like crazy because they could. They didn't have to make their house extremely super presentable because somebody was going to buy it and pay top dollar for it. That's no longer the case. We went from a couple weeks of inventory a year ago to a couple months now. And like I said, not enough to really make it a buyer's market, but you have to kind of put a little effort into it in order to get your home sold as opposed to the competition down the street at this point. So what does that look like? Well, I mean, it's mostly common sense stuff. You want to declutter your home. You want to, remove any excess furniture. Staging is not, necessarily something that's mandatory. But, if you have an empty house, a couple pieces of furniture in each room goes a long way. Rooms tend to look a lot smaller when there's no furniture in them. So if you have a bedroom that's like 10 by 10, it looks tiny when it's empty. Even if you put like a chair in there or a dresser or just some piece of furniture, it gives people that perception of what the space really would look like, with beds and tables and the whole 9 yards. And then obviously keeping it clean is an important part of it. It's not going to be necessarily a case of just putting it up for sale and then having a flood of people coming in and selling it in 2 days. Like, you might be on the market for a couple weeks. So you basically have to keep your home. It's a little inconvenient, but it's going to make a difference. You have to keep your home neat and tidy because we don't know when that buyer who is looking at the house down the street sees the sign in your front yard and wants to see it. We need to be able to get them in on a moment's notice and have the house really look at its best. So for that reason, a maid clean is not a terrible idea. Get the house cleaned up and straightened up and tidy. Just declutter it, and then really have a professional come through and really do a good once over on it. It really does make a great difference. And that's the inside of the house. This video is taking place in the fall, and there's still, it's not the dead of winter, so the exterior has to look appealing as well. Because your typical buyer is going to know within the first, 30 seconds to 1 minute, minute and a half of pulling up to your home, walking up to the front door and stepping inside if it's someplace that they can see themselves living. So we want to just create that wow factor of a first impression. And that is, obviously mowing the lawn, landscaping, put some mulch down, it's the fall right now, so some mums, just some seasonal flowers, decorate it for Halloween, whatever the case may be. You just want to make it really, really appealing for anybody that's considering to buy it. Because, like I said, when they walk up to the front door, they're already thinking like, what would it be if this was my house? How would this feel walking up to this front door of my house every day for the next, 12 years? And you really need to create that good first impression. And if you need help with that, if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, we do have a how to prep your home for sale guide. Just comment down below or shoot me an email. I'll send that out to you for free. That just kind of, it's not anything crazy. This isn't, sink, 20 grand into your kitchen to get 22 grand out of it when you sell. It's just a common sense checklist. Goes room by room. Just make sure that your house looks its absolute best before you put it on the market. So now we have your house cleaned up, staged. It's ready to go, ready to be put on the market. So what else do we need to do? Well, a lot of that falls back onto the agent at this point, because the same deal that applied from a year ago. We didn't really have to pull out all the stops on every single property in order for it to sell quickly for top dollar. So you need to make sure that you have an agent who does have a comprehensive marketing plan of action to get your home sold for top dollar. Now at M1 Realty, I've always drilled this into my agent's head, and this is a practice that I've followed as well. Like, even when the market was easy to list a home and sell it and not have to put a whole lot of effort into it, we still had a comprehensive marketing plan. We still do. But even when we didn't have to, like, I personally threw everything at my listings. That goes from professional photography, drone photos, video, virtual tours. As far as, marketing, we run advertisements specific to your property. Just things like that. You don't want to leave anything to chance when you're selling a home. And even if it's an extreme seller's market like what we have experienced for the past couple of years, you're still going to probably squeeze out a few more dollars by going that extra mile than you would have by not going the extra mile. And now that the market has shifted a little bit into the buyer's favor and there's more competition from other home sellers out there, you really need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to make your home stand out among the crowd. That's really the number one way to make sure that it sells quickly and it sells for top dollar. And this is just my kind of rule of thumb when you're interviewing listing agents or talking to people about selling your home. If they don't have a marketing plan in place, you probably don't want to work with them because they're just going to be winging it. For example, at M1, we have a 48-point marketing plan that we do for every single property. I always tell people, I don't care if it's a shack in Detroit for $500 or if it's a $5 million home in Birmingham. I do the same steps for every listing, and it never fails. It always ensures that my listings sell quick and they sell for the most amount of money. And then really the third and probably most important thing out there is, making sure you're dealing with an agent who is familiar with different types of markets. Like, we've basically been in a seller's market ever since about 2012, 2013. We started getting out of the recession. Our inventory was super low, and it's really never recovered to where we were in, before the Great Recession, because so many of our houses got bought up and now they're rental properties that just won't see the market again for a very, very long time. But basically anybody that's gotten their real estate license in the last 8 to 10 years has never seen anything other than a strong seller's market, which is not to say that there aren't some really, really amazing agents that have been licensed, recently that are more than capable of getting your house sold. But even they're probably going to be a little bit unfamiliar with what they need to do as the market changes. So I'm not saying you absolutely have to use some old school agents that's had their license for 35, 40 years. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, for me personally, I've listed and sold hundreds of homes in every type of market that you can imagine, like from the bottom of the barrel, like the worst of the worst in like 2009, 2010, all the way up through what we've been dealing with now. And just that experience of selling homes in extreme buyers markets and extreme sellers markets, I'm confident that I can get your home sold under any kind of condition and get it sold for the most amount of money. And as always, if there's anything else that I can answer for you, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out. You can call or text me anytime. Direct line is 586-491-5622. You can also reach me at 248-561-6155. Shoot me an email, dwerenka@m1realty.net, or simply just drop a comment down below, and like I said, I'll respond to that immediately. So for all your prospective home sellers out there, I hope this really helps you, and best of luck getting your house sold. It's still, like I said, a good market for it. So don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea where prices or interest rates or any of that's going to be 6 months or a year from now or beyond that. But all I know is right now, it's still a pretty good time to be a home seller in Metro Detroit. And again, if you would be so kind as to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and most importantly, share this video out to anybody that you think would benefit from it. I would greatly appreciate it. That just keeps me in front of people just like you who want to know more about the real estate market in Metro Detroit. And until next time, thanks so much, guys. Look forward to talking to you soon, and have a great one.